Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check, check. Check, check. Test, test. Hey guys, we're gonna start in 5 minutes. Dus Sam, ja, als je wilt, sluit je laptop gewoon aan of je kunt het op mij doen.
Unpluggen, hè?
Ah ja.
Nu even nog niet, hè?
Nee, ik ga even de presentatie, ja.
Alrighty.
Dus, alright. Hey guys, we're gonna start in 5 minutes. So, yeah.
We reserved upstairs.
Sorry?
We already reserved upstairs. We just sit here.
Oké, perfect. Hey, jongens, we gaan over een paar minuutjes beginnen. Ja, dus Sam begint als eerste als dat goed is. En ja, oké. Hey guys, goed om jullie te zien. We beginnen over 5 minuutjes. Alright. Yeah. Excuse me. We're gonna start in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So just so you know. Yeah. Ça va? Ja. Ja. Ja, toch een paar. Alright. All right. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all back here for our March edition of UX Spears Antwerp. So maybe some of you knew we were here as well with Panda Panda last time, and because we couldn't miss the place, we are here a second time. So voila, voila. Sorry, maybe something to ask. I see a lot of familiar faces, but who is here for the first time? Oh, that's a lot of people. So welcome here for you. I'm also going to briefly introduce our organization. So who is UX Belgium? So we are a networking organization made by and made for UX people and product professionals. So we create events like these in order to create a platform where people such as yourself can get connected to each other, can get supported by our community, and where we can also provide a platform where people can spread their knowledge for a larger audience. So that's basically what we do and what we have been doing since 2011 already. So we started already a long time ago. And what started out as an idea just in a bar ended up becoming a community of over 4,000 people by today. And we started out in Antwerp, and this is still where most of our events happen, but we didn't stay there. We also went to Brussels, I think in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, where now we also have events each quarter, each second Tuesday. And since, as of this year, we are also based in Hasselt, where we held last month our first edition with AK Group. And we are still figuring out how to do the date format there, but we also will try to do one every quarter. So also stay tuned for that. So we already grew to great size, but we still want to create impact. We still want to keep doing these events. And so you can also be part of that, actually. So we are an open group. And if you feel the drive to also be doing these kind of events, if you also feel you want to do some experience with managing things like this, if you want to do branding, or if you just want to help out in the community, so we are also really open for that. So yeah, the only thing we ask is a lot of energy and enthusiasm, and if you want, you can try it out. We have volunteers in Antwerp, Brussels, or Hasselt, and we mingle also a bit. So that's also, if you are interested, also hit us up for that. Then there's two big ingredients that comes to what we do. The first one is our support of hosts and sponsors. So we are able to do this because we have, now today is an exception, but usually we partner up with hosts to make it possible for them to gain visibility and to spread their knowledge, but also for us to have a space where we can keep doing these kind of events. And so we already have a lot of support from steady hosts, but we're always looking for new collaborations. So if you feel like your company and us could be a great match of partnering up, feel free to also have a chat with us. So we're always happy to explore these opportunities. And with our chapters, we're able to do it if your company is based in Antwerp, Brussels, or Hasselt. The second thing, of course, is to have speakers for events. So it can be a great opportunity for you to share your expertise, your knowledge, or maybe some interesting thing that you experienced during your UX practice. And it's also a great opportunity for practicing your skills. So it's a win-win because the crowd gets to learn something and you can also refine your public speaking skills, which will really help you in all those stakeholder talks, basically. And what we also want to be is we want to be open for everyone. So we don't look at the number of years of experience that you have. We don't look at your job title. The only thing that we ask from you is to have the courage to pick up this mic and to get in front of a crowd. And so if you feel like that's you, you can also hit us up. We still have some availabilities this year, so we would also be very happy to have some of you speak next. And we thought, yeah, this is also where a lot of the talk happens, but we also don't want it to end here. So that's why we also have a Slack page where you can keep being engaged with the community. So it has got everything that a UX professional needs, whether it's whether you're looking for new jobs, whether you're looking for new events, new courses, new trainings, or just regular UX help. You can find it all into our Slack channel. So if you feel like trying it out, I would say just scan the QR code, and we would also be happy to have you there. No hosting talk today, but of course we usually have some great support from our host, and we also have some support from our dear sponsors. The first one is Creative Skills. So, and Creative Skills is actually the job site for creative professionals. Whether you are into writing, whether you're into designing, whether you're doing coding, Creative Skills has some great niche offers that sometimes aren't even available on LinkedIn. So if you're on the lookout, be sure to hit them up. They might have that creative opportunity that you need. Then we also are sponsored by our dear sponsor Ariad. So Ariad is one of the biggest staffing agencies in Belgium, and they do staffing differently. So it's not just to staff as many people as possible. They really look at what profile you are, what career ambitions you have, and what the companies that they work with need to really create the perfect win-win situation. So if you want some career advice, if you want to if you just want to have a look at the job market as it is, be sure to also have a look at Ariad. And with that out of the way, we will be going to the program of tonight. So we have two very varied topics. The first brought by Sam Susan. Me and Sam, we go way back, actually. We studied graphic design together, and Sam staged the course. He is a branding designer. He's a co-founder of Antwerp, and he's going to talk today about design systems, but from a unique branding perspective. And then we will have a little bit of break, and then we're going to Bram van Haren's talk. So Bram van Haren is also a designer with a lot of experience under his belt, and with his experience, he's going to talk to us about the next generation of tech experts and what things will be looking like. And so, without further ado, I want to welcome Sam on stage. So Sam, the floor is yours.
Does this actually work, or is it just a QR code for my LinkedIn, but my name is there. It's small,
and I will talk to you tonight about design systems, but from a branding agency's perspective, a graphic design perspective, if you wish. So I was here last year in the crowd when we had the UX beers also here, of course, hosted by Panda Panda, who live upstairs. They also make digital products, and they had some leaflets lying around, and I took one of their printed leaflets because, of course, I love the graphic design, and I think their communication was quite on point. But they had this one page, and it said, things we do, and then they had some bullets, we build digital products, etc., etc. We are not, and their first bullet on the leaflet from Panda Panda was, we are not a branding agency. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Why would they ever put that in print, that they are not a branding agency? They must receive lots of questions from clients for whom they'll make digital products, apps, websites to also kind of take care of the branding. So I thought this was interesting because, of course, myself, I'm very much a branding agency, me together with Hey, chick. Just let me know, live stream people, if it's working. Are we coming through, Simon? Do we have? Yes, okay, we have audio. So there seems to be some correlation between UX people, but also branding people. We sometimes meet with each other. So that's why I would love to have the opportunity to share maybe some very small insights and examples on how we as a branding agency might approach design systems, maybe slightly different, maybe the same, but let's dive in. So, our running order for the next 20 minutes, and please can maybe you give me a heads up when I'm talking for like 15 minutes, when I have 5 minutes left, and then 10 minutes for questions. Cool. Let's give you the wiggle. Yes, there we are. So, first a little bit about Coloss Agency, our branding agency. Why am I talking here? Then, why do we all need design systems? Because in a perfect world, it should make our workflow a little bit more easier. Then, crossing daggers between graphic designers and developers. You might have had this clash yourself. And then some examples, case studies, and then maybe I can address some questions. And if I can't, I'll promise to look it up towards the next UX beers for you. So not too much about ourselves because it's not that interesting, but just to give you an imagination, Coloss consists of 6 people, carefully crafted and selected to work around branding. We have our roots in journalism. This means we've studied journalism together, so language and communication for us is a big deal. So we are more communication and language oriented in everything we do and approach than we are technical, so to say. So very quickly, Anna, she designs, she can make illustrations in lots of different styles. Kato, she does web design. Figma, good old Adobe XD back in the days. She does copywriting because she studied journalism. Kenzo, it's the same, copywriter, art director. Strategy, Peter, also lectures in journalism and communication. Then myself, I'm graphic designer, but now I am project manager. And then Sven, finance. We all need one Sven. And we call him Roger. It's true, everybody calls him Roger. So, when we say what do, we do branding and naming, because sometimes, and this might loop back to the Panda Panda, we are not a branding agency on their leaflet. Clients do ask us, I have an ID, it can be for an app, it can be for a product, it can be for a certain type of organization, but I don't know how to name this. Well, we have some solutions for that. Branding and naming. Communication, already mentioned, everything starts from a communication mindset with us. Of course, we need to do web design, because when you do a branding, and when you talk about the target audience and the key message, and when you make a visual identity, the most important carrier of all that information, most of the times is web design, and we will also approach this from a communication point of view. Mostly our websites, they're just online brochures. It's not that spectacular. And then we work with different developers depending on how technical the website is. And we can, of course, write your website for you. So, the system doesn't need you, you need the system. What does this mean? Looked up a good old classic definition of a design system for the people on the live stream. A design system is a set of standards to manage design at a scale by reducing redundancy while creating a shared language and visual consistency across different pages and channels using reusable components and patterns. And we all know, UX people, developers, they love reusable components and patterns. So of course we try to be mindful of those types of design choices while designing a design system. For us, when we look at it, it's more the interplay of color, typography, hugely important typography, the logo, language, and then what we call visual elements can be anything from the type of photography, the use, the framing of photography. It can be textures, it can be backgrounds, shapes, or illustrations when taking pictures of the subject is quite difficult. So, one example for us, once more, from a communication point of view. Context means context is everything. These are two deliverables for the same brand, for Crelan. It's the 5th biggest bank, like the smallest of the big ones, in Belgium, in Flanders at least. And here we worked together with In Silencio, another employer branding agency, on the employer branding campaign for Crelan. They need new hires, so we need to make a campaign. The campaign consists of the visual elements from the Crelan branding, not made by Colos, made by Today agency. They are even better and bigger as a branding agency. I love them very much. So here we worked around the key message, but you see two completely different ways of using all the components. Of course, one deliverable, the one on the left, is used in the public space at a large scale. It needs to attract some interest in all its simplicity. You'll need the URL. Fortunately, no QR code on this one. The second one, however, we need to add more color, so we need to boost up the flow of the logo to make more green. You don't need the URL because you can click through. Of course, it's a landscape banner. The other one is more of an A format, so pretty much everything switches place in these two ads we made for the same brand within the same playing field with branding samples. Why? Because the context is totally different. And by context, final note, I will repeat once more, the communication context. So our take as Colos, a branding agency, we see it as creating a playing field. You can define strict rules, you can make huge brand books, but the reality is you will have to leave your own brand book or the one you receive quite quickly because you'll always have to look at the context of your final product. And for us, it's also in a lot of printed material because we still print stuff from time to time. So freedom, of course, means chaos. Because developers love to be shown. Let me just generalize a little bit. Most of the developers I've worked with the past 8 years love to be shown exactly how to build the website or the digital product. I once remember having 5 emails back and forth about the position of a sentence within a shape. The developer kept on claiming that it was perfectly placed in the middle of the square, and we kept saying, no, it's not in the middle, you need to drop. Of course, who was right? We both were, from our own point of view. Within his code, he of course placed the sentence, the typography, in the perfect center of the frame. But for us, optically, looking at the typography from a graphic point of view, it was a little bit off and it needed to be dropped some pixels. Designers be like, think for yourself, it's a playing field. Of course, I must, touch my own bosom here. We tend to sometimes think that if we send over a file, developers might fill in the gaps on the way that we imagine. So there is some sort of friction there, but we come in peace, of course. So, good news, communication and branding is a broad spectrum, but the bad news that it's also a very broad spectrum. And those who look very carefully might already notice that the leading from the letter is a little bit off, if you're into that type of stuff. And that's, of course, when you make a website or a digital product and you have more text or more items, you can just keep on scrolling and add them, and they will pass through your screen. We start, besides context, besides our communication point of view towards graphic design, we also have fixed deliverables and printing materials. So how can you ever make a brand book and say the logo always has to be top left of your deliverable when, for example, you might have a sticker made inside of a circle? How can you place a logo top left in a circle? That's quite difficult. It doesn't even have a top left corner. So, will it work equally well every time? Of course not. That's why we have to let go from time to time. Pardon, I will not burp into the microphone. From our very fixed point of view, you might encounter from time to time marketing executives on the other side of the table, and they'll repeat, when I was studying, the baseline always need to be underneath the logo. And then we say, of course, yeah, when you were studying, when there was no digital self, of course, on your paper notes, you would have that type of things. But now we would love to have it a little bit more loose. So, how do we do branding from a graphic design point of view? And I'm quite all right on time. For example, this is a case we've made for Uitgeverij van In. I don't know how to translate uitgeverij in English. Publisher. They make school books for mostly the, I will say, basic school. Primary school, thank you, sorry. Didn't prepare that specific term. So we landed on 3 basic shapes. They have some history within the company, so we used them and boosted them a little bit like this. Made some different backgrounds, animations from those. Very not rigid. And then you'll have more of a playing field, and this time it's more within texture. The texture aligns with the logo that we kept for this company. It's quite red from the beamer, but of course I want to turn around my laptop. But you still have a nice and decent graphic playing field with some details. Another difficult one, we have the branding from our hometown. It's called Mechelen. It's the most beautiful city between Antwerp and Brussels. That's where we're located. So if you ever need a meeting room in Mechelen, you can text me on LinkedIn and we can see if our one meeting room is available and clean for you. But we needed to make a branding for all summer events and all winter events taking place within Mechelen. So it's called Mechelen Feest, loosely translated to Mechelen Party. And they have this kind of difficult, hideous shape. You can call it the head, the meter, or the M from Mechelen, but it always needs to be included at a minimum size within all of your designs. At the same time, we needed to solve summer and winter versions. So, we had a sun and a moon. And just to say, context is everything. On the normal dimensions, the A type of dimensions from this billboard, we can take the big M and make it as small as possible. We'll have the sun, we'll have lots of warmth, we have lots of typography. At the same time, while creating vertical flags or banners, the M, I think it's a little bit burned out, but it takes up a different space and the whole width of the bottom is used. No sun there, but it doesn't matter. It's still recognizable, these two. Another one might be the sticker on the big market. Again, your shapes, they move, it's a playing field, but it works well, it's recognizable. Actually, one case we did with Panna Panna. Unfortunately, they're not here, but they're probably watching the live stream. Here we started from the typography. And this is also a nice case. It has two solutions on how to work around a product that's very unsexy to take pictures of. So you have heat pumps. We all will need them at one point in our life, if we're lucky. For instance, this is a heat pump right here, but it's just like, it's a big block. It doesn't do anything. It's like a refrigerator. You don't want to sell the refrigerator. You want to sell nice and cool contents. So we used some extra custom illustrations, and we used lots of, let's say, one-liners, baseliners like smart living, great energy, change the current, relax, we've got you, to convey more of a warmth, cozy, housey feeling. We started with the typography that used some kind of a link within the H and within the A, for example. And then we used the link to create a very subtle design system where we would link some other visual parts, where we would use links in all different types of shapes. So there is no way that you could force this into a very strict brand, into very strict brand guidelines. At the same time, I hope you'll agree that this kind of works as one design system for this type of branding. Same goes for the Hannah Arendt Institute. 3 different expressions of the same visual identity. Once more, Mechelen, of course, because that's where we are. Here the idea starts from Construct Europe. It's a city festival about the way we perceive Europe and what Europe might do for us. We've used some sort of a general image of a map where you can notice, very abstract, the outlines of Europe itself, but like the map from a construction site. Even though the map is not always used, for instance, here you have 2 items that are more full-page photography-based, you still feel the way we've used the telexes on the site, the typography, the way everything is, even without being very boxy, has its room to breathe. And of course, the very distinctive pink, non-political color that was asked to use for this case also adds to the whole. Maybe one last. Humus. You would probably never guess what they do. I wouldn't have guessed either. They do some type of crisis communication, intervention, deep democracy. How, if you have like, might be interesting for some of you, if you have a big group of people, say for instance the leaders of a school board, and they are not agreeing and half of them is willing to to quit their job, then that school board is in crisis and they might intervene with their methodologies to get everyone being heard and get them talking again. So this playing field started from the logo, which consists of two elements who are balanced, who are facing each other. There's a lot of philosophy right there. And you might ask, why is the lower part, why is it zebra stripes? Well, their previous logo had a zebra and they asked us to maybe keep some part of the zebra. So we used its stripes. It's a very small detail up front, but you see, from the building blocks of the logo, we can create a playing field. Doesn't matter if the Humus logo is central or on the right side. We can use that playing field to make posters that are completely graphic, using slogans, but we can also use it to make printing materials, use some parts of the shapes as windows to place pictures. We can use it to make signage, etc. Maybe one last, it's actually not one, maybe one last, it is the last one. So here, it's a little bit different. Here we just received assets. We received color, we received typography, we received the ripped kind of texture. So there wasn't really a branding, wasn't really a system. We pushed it into some sort of a website that needed to be festive or festival-like. There was a time, if you remember Studio Brussels' previous branding, with a lot of repetition in typography, etc. So it's already 4 or 5 years back. Even though it's not a very good design system, it's not a very decent design system, it still kind of makes sense. But yeah, just to show you maybe a less interesting example. So this presentation, let me check the time, that's quite all right. In one sentence, design systems, for us at least, are meant to be a playing field, not a legal document in disguise, because most of the time when you or when we receive a very strict document and you start working with this, you'll find quite quickly that it's very difficult to make good designs with this type of thing, given the context that's needed. So, yeah, this is my sneaky advertising. If you are Dutch speaking, or at least Dutch hearing, you can listen to the Grondwerk podcast. It's of course in Flemish, because our English is not that high level. It's a podcast about creativity, different actors from different, how you say, I want to say sectoren, métiers. Yeah, different fields, from visual arts to music to even philosophy, are asked in Flemish about how they approach their creative day-to-day work. So, and that kind of concludes our talk. So, hope you've learned something. And if you ever are not a branding agency, but in need of one, you can of course always find me on LinkedIn. So, hope you have any questions. Please have some, because otherwise this was the clearest talk ever in human history. Yes?
Thank you for the presentation. I have maybe a little bit, eventual question.
Okay.
But how it works in practice, like, let's say you have a client, you prepare a few examples of typography, let's say. How do they choose one?
We choose one, and then we convince them that we chose the right one for them, given their context. That would have been my first presentation, maybe one for next year, how does a branding agency convince a client of such things. It's a very long and intimate build-up within a presentation. We start with repeating everything back to them, what they said they would love to see within their branding, the feedback we've given on their thoughts from our perspective and why something might work very well or why they might have to make a certain type of choice. If the two are not to be combined, we do start with typography. We show them the typeface, one typeface, two typeface, a little bit the way those two might work together in different contexts, but no logo just yet. Then we'll take them to the color palettes. Maybe there's one, maybe it's two. We show them the colors one by one, and then a little bit in the way that they will be used together. Maybe the red is more distinctive and it will take up more space, and the other ones are just accent colors. Still no logo. So after those, we might show them some of the visual elements. Maybe we've made some icons, textures, illustrations, so we get them to agree on, oh yeah, that's a good typeface. Okay, I can see that it works. Show me the logo. And it's after 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, once we've repeated everything, we've showed them the elements one by one, that we kind of move into the design system, because clients, they are heavily fixed on the logo, even though good branding, if you take away the logo, it still needs to stand out and be recognizable. So that's why you have the system, so to say, which means everything in comparison to each other but the logo. We will dive into the system just a little bit, maybe with outlines, like the way I've shown you here. Something like that, but then slightly different. And then finally, we will make a small build-up to the logo, because most of the times the Midas touch or the golden thing is not inside the logo. For instance, the Humus logo, the one you just saw, is just the name in the typography they already agreed upon was a good typeface for them. So it's a very normal, basic logo. Of course, yeah, they do have like the symbol here, but lots of the times the symbol is just too much. It's not necessary. And then finally, after showing all the elements separately, showing them the outlines of the design system, we show them stuff like this in mockups. 1 mockup, 2 mockup, 3 mockups. We slam them with lots of mockups to show them the system actually works. We've tested it on all types of different deliverables. We might show them the hero image of their website, maybe some scrolls. And then, luckily for us, most of the times, I say 85% they'll agree for 85% that it's all right, and we'll maybe tweak something, make an icon slightly different, or show them an alternative color palette. But we do take one suggestion very, very far on the first time that we come back with our proposition. Normally it will be one system, but there might be small variations, maybe within the logo, maybe within color, because it's very easy to adjust color and it gives them the illusion of choice, like, I want that color, so they're not discussing about the logo. Yeah, but I do it all the time. Yesterday I was designing a vinyl in my free time, and I also made like a second version with a different color palette, just to have them agree upon everything else and let them choose a color they like most. Hope this helps. Yes?
Yeah, so maybe this is old school, but I feel like I've been a part of a lot of teams where, as the digital team, the company that we're working for pays a branding agency a bunch of money to put together a brand, and then we get this brand book, but it's heavily biased towards packaging, prints, and logos and stuff. And then the digital team gets this and says, okay, go be digital with it, and then that team gets super grumpy because they have no budget, and they're like, they're grumpy, like, we can't translate the digital.
They have nothing.
To do that. So I'm wondering if you have any advice, either from the perspective of like, how have you been able to kind of harmonize those two? Do you do them at the same time?
Yeah.
Or from the other perspective of like, how do you have any advice on how to deal with that if you are kind of just given this like print?
First advice, if you as a digital or we as a branding agency, because this one was kind of done in that certain way with Panda Panda, not here, but very close to us in our hearts. And geographically, we did know in advance that they were the ones taking care of. It should have been a bigger, the clients went for a soft launch, so now it's just a landing page. Unfortunately, it should have been a big calculator, digital type of product, but it's not today. We did share a Slack from the beginning. We knew that they were going to work on the Figma design, let's say, with our brand assets afterwards. So they were actually at our brand workshop, one of them, all the way in the beginning when we talked about color, core values, brand manifesto, goals, target audiences, all the communication type of stuff, and a little bit on the visual. He was just there, eavesdropping, working. And we joined their workshop when they started on the development of the Figma file. So that's one way to do it. I don't know about the money part. We just kind of did it because we wanted to have a good result. But that did help. But to answer your question, we did leave them, one, a lot of trust, and two, a lot of assets, knowing that they were the ones that had to transform our more graphic designy branding to a decent Figma. And we gave them a homepage. And then we did discuss internally on our homepage design before showing it to the client, like, is what we are making here as a visual, will it be okay for you to work on later on? And they say, like, maybe a little bit closer and that component, take it out because it might be tricky. So that's one way we've worked on this and we're able to transfer it in a good way. But yeah, it needs a little bit, you need to be engaged with each other.
We're doing digital design as well, and discussion we face lots between clients and their branding agencies is exactly the same. They deliver branding that's really print oriented, but we have to make sure that it's accessible, meeting accessible forms. For instance, contrast-wise, colors, stuff like that. And a lot of times we face it, the red is not compatible with the black, or the black is not compatible with the blue. So it turns out that it's not as much as a playing field in terms of color accessibility. What is the suggestion there?
Yeah, of course the BCAG 2 or 3 already, they should be taken into account, and I agree from a graphic design perspective, it's no fun if you have pretty colors and they won't work, but it's of course your obligation to do so because it needs to work as well. And I can imagine lots of the times we are always at the birth, so at the beginning with the client, and they're heavily invested with us and they like what we did, and then you just get dropped a package that might or might not be useful. At what point in their own timeline does a client come towards you guys to say, for instance, our branding is finished, now fix it, or we will be branding? Can you decide whether it's too late or not?
Yeah, I think it's a decision that the client should be making when the branding is set in stone for digital or set in stone for print, or that can be retroactive, changed in some way to meet the accessible guidelines.
But yeah, I do feel your pain because it's it's not fun for the branding agency to see everything being switched up, and it's no fun for you to start with something that's difficult to start with. So of course, once you receive it, there's no way back. The client already paid the branding agency, now they want you to continue with this, and the discussion starts in advance. I would suggest, if you have the time, to be there as quickly as possible. Yeah, but it's a chronological problem in a certain, and if the branding agency is not digital minded, if it's very print oriented, then I actually don't know if anybody has a better solution, but if it's chronologically not aligned.
To get a discussion with the branding agency again to make sure that...
If you hear that a client is asking you for offers and they're still asking difficult, always ask them, is the branding already being processed? How far in the process are you? Can we get in touch with them? Because for us it's important, otherwise you can always drop something like, you will actually have to pay more if it's not sufficiently delivered by the branding agency, and they'll be very eager to get you in touch. The same way that we are sometimes in touch with interior design architects looking at our branding, asking us to use or not use certain shapes or colors. Yeah, that's the best solution I have at this point. Okay. I must kind of agree with you. While you're giving that example, there have been times where the digital product or the website was not completely made by us, but was the most important first deliverable. Say, for instance, if the client has an in-house digital team, that we, after the website, had to reincorporate certain elements that were actually more fun as well, within our own brand guidelines and deliverables. So there might be some like 3-step stone type of thing where you have a branding that's like 80% done, then you start on the design and development of the digital products, and some elements might be used back within printing materials in an ideal scenario. But of course, we know from our own agencies that it's two very different professions. And for a client, a lot of the times, they are very much disappointed that it's not one big what doing all. Okay, I see people moving, so I guess I'll have to get rid of my microphone. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sam. If you have any further questions, you can meet Sam at the bar. Now we're going to have a break of around 30 minutes, and then we'll be back for our next speaker. So have a beer and help yourself. Speakerbadges, dank u wel. Ja, heel erg dikke merci om dat te regelen, want er ging er zo net niet bij ons. Dus merci voor dat te regelen. Ja. Okay. Ja, dus het was gewoon een van de batterijtjes was op. Dus, ja, maar de ander deed het goed. Dus, ja, leuke presentatie.
Goeie vragen nog.
Ja, inderdaad, ja.
Niet te lang, een beetje top-level.
Ja. Nee, maar meestal als ze veel vragen stellen, dat ze denken dat het wel heeft aangekomen.
Ik vond het fijn dat dat wel ergens kan blijven.
Ja, maar goed gedaan. Echt super om zo wat van uw werk te zien.
Ja,
ja, maar leuke pieces. Ja, echt goede pieces, ja. Goed van. Ja.
En ook eens geoefend, gewoon kalm uit te leggen in het Engels.
Ja, en hoe vond het?
Ja, moet je laatst ook wel wat lesgeven in het Engels. Dus ik was blij dat ik de juiste term op ben aanspreekt.
Ja, het is dat.
Er is een vlak opgelaten worden door de agencies in het proces. Inderdaad, ja. Dus ja, jij twee, op een bepaald punt was het ook van, je moet dan nooit meer doorsturen, dat is dan niet goed. Maar je moet wel ergens tot aan inzicht komen en dat dan mee in je workflow steken.
Ja.
Bij je gebeuren, bij je company.
Ja.
Bijna. Gesketst. Ik heb een graag van first extended, maar toen even ik heb met Tom de Dekker in het team gezet. Maar jij werkte aan een ander ergens. Vanuit een workshop logo ken ik nu, maar zo moeilijk. 2017, ik werk er nu opnieuw in, maar met 2017 heb ik zo gezegd. Dus ik heb hier laatst net collega's even van een workshop.
Dat is wel voor de livestream.
Ja, dat is voor de livestream, ja, dus dat de mensen kunnen horen. Ik ga dat zelfs even nog in elkaar monteren, maar
Altijd, ze doen ook al
ik denk dat we dus hier aan sluiten.
ik denk dat wij 15 of 16 of 16 dus dat is
Ja, dat zullen wel moeten lukken. Ja. Ja.
Want waar is de weg gaat, want één plaats met dat meer is.
Ik ga even,
Ja, ja.
met de slides uit.
Oké. Vast bij workshops meestal
Een beetje klaar.
Heel, maar ik ga hem ook eens gewoon aanpakken.
Ja.
wel, ja, we zitten heel vaak op.
Dat is veel te veel natuurlijk.
Wacht, daar heb jij het internet van hier.
Net nog niet.
Wacht,
Gewoon een set Antwerp gratis wifi of?
Ik heb hier en daar van projecten in het dat is specifiek
Ja,
voor
wacht.
iets anders, dan ook een ander op te
Ja.
werken.
En dan Plein Magazijn, P en M met hoofdletters aan elkaar.
Dat is wat gezegd. Eigenlijk een goed bedrijf met veel kan. Ik moet wel zeggen, ik heb Charles nummer, want zeggen als je rond hebt moest doen, dat is ook oké, ja, ik wil het doen eerlijk gezegd. Dat is ik snap het wel, ze wat ik aan het doen. Op zich even leuk als je een campagnepagina hebt. Cultuur heb je toch wel een klein beetje op Messenger en een klein beetje informatie.
Kijk, ik heb ook genoeg stroom voor.
Ja, ik voelde dat wel een beetje dat hij zo wel wat.
Ik denk niet dat we nog een beetje zetten, maar in het uitzicht van de bal kan ik denk ik daar even uittrekken. Dus, klopt dat je ook op de openingsavond van, wat was het weer? Alleen dat event in oktober van Nepal.
Smashing Con.
Smashing Con. Ja, ik was daar ook, ja. Dus,
Zaken zelf.
ja, want ik was ook al aan het denken van, ik ken die van ergens, maar waar? Dus, ja. Dus, ik had echt nog gehoord. Ja, ik heb dat nu even laten opladen.
Kan ik jullie alsjeblieft gewoon op mijn trui zitten?
Ja, dat kan ook. Dat kan ook, ja.
Jij hoort dat tot het
Ja,
ik ben wel zo'n arm.
ja dat kan zeker. Dat kan zeker. Ik ga het zelfs terughalen, dan regelen we dat wel.
Voilà. Dus dat is ook wat ik zo moet jij in Antwerpen blijven. Oké, dus eigenlijk ben ik gewoon eens in de nacht op wat jullie altijd zo net in de hand zo. productie moet gedaan worden van metaal en nou, ik ben niet klaar, maar heb ik wel volgens van andere mensen is er precies waar graag met gaan aan de sector. Bedrijven allemaal zo wel een beetje shit. Als het echt niet iemand
Check, check. Check, check. Check, check. Check, check. Check, check. We're going to start in 5 minutes. This is your thing. You can wrap it up here. Yeah. Of the service. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, everyone, and we're back. So I hope you enjoyed the first talk. Now we're going to look to a topic that I think all of us are also wondering about. And this is, of course, our field is rapidly changing. We don't really know what the future looks like and who is going to dominate in it. But our next speaker Bram, is going to talk a bit more about this next generation and the new tech experts. So give him a warm round of applause.
Good evening, everyone. Just checking in. Do I need the road if I have the clip on? Can you check if the clip on is working? Is the clip on okay? So I can use my arms. Nice check. In the meantime, I will introduce myself.
Did you put this on? Yeah, sorry.
Cool, huh? I'm mic'd up now, at least for the full four people streaming. Cool. So we're going to talk about what's the next generation of tech experts. It was heavily inspired or even completely copied from an article from In the Pocket. I'm not sure is there anyone from In the Pocket? Nice. Are you from In the Pocket?
No, I heard.
Ah, you heard about it. Oh, okay, cool. Because I'm stealing their shit, and I don't. Okay, whatever. The next gen tech experts. Who are they? Whatever. Just a little context. Who am I? My name is Bram. I'm calling myself next gen designer simply because I'm using fancy new tools, and I have a hard time putting something before the word designer. Am I a product designer? Am I a UX designer? A UI designer? I don't know. I'm doing everything, and then I thought it was smart to call myself the next gen designer. But I'm active in the digital product realm. Everything with digital products interests me, and I've been working with mostly banks. There's some ex-colleagues here from Belfius, but I've worked with KBC and Belfius as a design lead. And now I've also been a lecturer, blah, blah, blah. But I also have an out-of-hand hobby, whatever thingy, as a digital artist. So I'm doing a lot of weird stuff. And it makes sense now, and I hope the new shift, what's coming with the next gen designer. I think we're shifting away from these fixed roles, the UX designer, the UI designer, the product designer, whatever. And I already noticed the first steps working with clients or big customers. We are moving away from the UX UI. They are not publishing open vacancies today with, I'm looking for a UX designer. No, we're looking for an expert chatbot UX UI writer, chapter lead, whatever. These are not the traditional roles anymore. And for me personally, it's very interesting because we are more focusing on our tools and our skill set rather than fancy or weird titles. And that's very interesting or whatever. We're going to talk about that. A small disclaimer, I'm just a next-gen designer. I don't want to be an AI guru or whatever. A little of context. Last week I texted someone from UXBeer, hey, is there an event next week? And before I knew, I was very impulsive and said, hey, I can help with a speaking gig. I can talk about AI because I'm doing this at the job where I work, where I consult at POW. I'm sharing my insights there tomorrow, actually. And this is like, okay, a test where I will just share what I'm working on or what I find interesting. So I'm really going to focus on my experience with the fancy new tools, and I will share just random ideas how I see things shifting, and hopefully it's interesting. Also very important, it wasn't meant, this presentation, to share with other people. It should be an internal thing for POW, sharing my insights. So I will skip stuff when I notice like, this is not interesting, or we don't have the time, because we only have 20 minutes, so I have to move. So let's start. Just my idea, what the fuck is a next-gen tech expert? My whole LinkedIn is filled with this cool claim, what are next-gen tech experts? I really like the sound of it, the tech expert. What the fuck is that? I don't know. So I asked myself that question. What are the tools they're using, these next-gen techs, because I want to be one of these cool guys. What are the tools they're using? What's the possible impact? I asked myself, well, what does this mean for my design process, all these new tools or these new experts that I will come across in the field and have to battle with, perhaps? What are they doing? What's the impact? What does this mean for my team? I'm used as a UX, or I was a design lead most of the time, but my design lead, I was leading UX UI designers. Does it mean that in the future the teams are all multidisciplinary? They're not just UX UI design, but I'm also working with marketeers or CEOs or whatever, fancy smart guys, strategic people. What does that mean also for my soft skills? Like, oh shit, I need to change my language more often, or just what does that mean? I ask that question. And then what would I do if I ran an agency? That's more the internal stuff, because I'm working with agencies and I want to share insight, like, hey, if I was an agency today with what I know, what's happening, I give advice, but I will probably skip that because that's the valuable stuff. So anyway, so let's start. What are these next-gen tech experts? I tried an anatomy, or I tried to look at like, okay, what are these people? I think we are all tech experts, or we have the potential to become one of these guys, because we all have evolving skills and we have a very creative mindset. We all do, I think, in this room. And we're really going to focus on adaptable skills. We are very adaptable. We are we are used to change from Adobe XD to Sketch to Figma, new design systems. Every 6 months there's a new update. So we already are used to change. It's in our nature. We are already a little bit okay with the weird job titles we get as a designer. It's already changed, so we're not really married with our job titles, so that's cool. But what I really notice is that all these tech experts, they are very T-shaped profiles. They nerd in one specific skill super hard. Is it the design system or whatever? It's something that you're really good at. But with all those new multidisciplinary teams, you already notice like every expert in the field, they have experience or they have been in touch with a UX designer, a service designer, with a fancy product designer, the cool developers. We all meet these cool experts, and you learn from them as we go. So we are automatically, very quickly, this T-shaped profile. And I think it's very important for yourself moving forward, like, okay, what's my sharp point, or what is my expertise, what is my super valuable skill, because the rest is very interesting and will help me in these new teams. But really, if that's a tip, focus on what's your specialty. We are continuous learners, curiosity wins. It's always been as a creative, I think, curiosity wins. If you were a good designer like 5 years ago, you were probably one of the first guys working with tokens and really could show any big company how to set up a design system. It's gonna be the same, the same curiosity or the same curious designers are already using AI tools. And probably being the first movers again. So it's nothing new, but it's a nice reminder to continue to learn, of course. And also a very interesting movement or shift is the blurry lines and the blurry roles, definitely in my field between developers and designers, even UX designers or service designers, with all the new tools that are available for us today. For me, just speaking out of my own experience, without any coding experience, I was able to build my own app in 15, 14 days with a working backend, with everything fancy, cool stuff. And I showed it to the developers. They're like, oh, AI, it's far from my bed show. They're like, oh shit, you have no coding experience and you built this in 14 days in the evening just with cursor and with some cool other tools. They are getting very shaky and awake, like, okay, this is getting very close now. A few months ago it wasn't, but that's a really interesting shift, like, okay, we are blurring roles. I can now talk on a completely different level than 3 months ago with developers, really talk about, I had this conversation with Stan, like, I'm now able to talk about database architecture strategy, how can we optimize reads, the fetching time, and for a lot of functional analytics for experts, it's like, oh wait, this is my experience, this is my expert thingy, like what are you doing as a designer, doing functional analysis, or what are you bringing up new strategies to optimize loading time or making my database more secure. It's like, it's weird now, but I think that's going to be the normal as designers, we're problem solvers, that we have those new possibilities or these new collaborations with your team. Very important with these new collaborations, empathy, being a human, excelling your creativity is going to be the differentiator, probably, because AI will be automating stuff, things will shift, and there will be a completely different collaboration, I think, and then the soft skills will be really important, and just being empathic about this change, because for everyone it's scary, like, ooh, what's happening? It's going to be a very important skill. I can probably, can I panic? I forgot the time, but I'm probably already out of a lot of time. This is probably a slide deck where I can talk 2 hours about it, so I'm going to skip or show little things. But we already noticed, or you see articles where GitHub has an AI team, or they call them AI designers, or it was probably Airbnb, but you see fancy quotes with 88% of developers feel more productive. And we already see a shift about like, oh, now I have more time to spend on a specific project. And then it's very interesting to see for everyone doing that for yourself, to really notice like, okay, I can automate some stuff, or I can do specific stuff in my design process more quickly. What are you going to do? Where are you going to spend your extra time? Or are you going to save that on your cost or whatever and make more money? What's your reaction on this new normal, let's say? And that's an interesting thing, but I think as a team, you really have to go to look like, okay, where do we want to win time? What do we want to do with this time? Are we are in a very hard market. Are we really going to play on our pricing strategy? Or what are we going to do with this new time? Or generally, like, what are we going to do with this whole new thing? Blah, 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 EMB, Trailblazers, cool. We already, this is what I said, and it's an interesting quote. I think it's pretty wild, but Jacob Nielsen shared a quote, I'm not sure where, but it was pretty recent, but he mentioned like the UX professionals are going to explode, and he's speaking about 100 million of people by 2050, and I understand where it comes from, because it means with the tools that are available today, I truly believe that the baker, the bakery at the corner of the street, if he needs a dashboard to track his stock, for instance, today it is possible to just prompt in a natural language, like I want a dashboard to track all my stuff, this is my database, or set up a database, and he can do that over a weekend time. So what does that mean? That the baker is possible to become a UX guy or come in contact with product design more rapidly. And then of course if you see like all these UX professionals, whatever, they get in touch, yes, you can get up to 100 million really fast. And I think that's going to be the normal in like 5 years, where the neighbor is prompting their own digital products. And then what does that mean for us as a professional, of course? Cool. New gen tech experts, so we all are familiar with it. Let's talk about the fun stuff, let's talk about tools. We have like 15 minutes, let's nerd about stuff that I love to use, or just if you've never heard about it, just get a little idea of what's happening in this AI landscape. There are a lot of new tools, and I think it starts with the low-code and no-code platforms. Like 1 year, 2 years ago, maybe everyone heard of Webflow and Framer today, very popular. But it was the first time where we were like, as a designer with no coding experience, we came in contact. We're like, oh wait, I can design something in Figma. I have a plugin that can translate my design to Framer, and I can change small stuff, but I see exactly how my design looks like, and I can hit publish, and it's online. Whoa, mind blowing. And that for only $5, I think, to host it. But you see today, for me, if I talk with designers today and they mention this process, I slap them in the face, because I would say, just start in Framer, by the way. Just do your design in Framer and hit on publish, please. You win so much more time, and it's very capable of doing that. But that's the new normal, I think. I hear a lot of, even in Antwerp, there are more and more small agencies designing in Webflow and using Framer for their customers as well. Not the WordPress of Craft CMS, all those heavy sites. You can now create really cool stuff with no coding experience and do stuff in Framer. This is enabling product creation with minimal coding skills, so that's a big shift. And like, oh, what's going on? What's going to happen with more of these tools? But that was like a first sign. Okay, low code, no code. And then it moved into the more nerdy stuff, the Flutters and whatever, really building mobile apps with no code. And then you start to lose a lot of people, like, nah, that's not possible, but it is. And then we see like we can deliver great impact with less manual effort. Cool. Now, spoiler alert, I try to be a nerd and track it and follow the industry, but literally every week there are 5 new tools that are even better than last week to prompt your dashboards, prompt your apps, more secure, instant, deployed, all those fancy development language words. So that's very interesting. Just be aware of that, like what's going to happen. So we have Webflow, we have Framer, cool, we talked about that. It's exactly, you see what you get, you hit on publish. As a designer, you don't have to worry about code. In the beginning of Framer, it was like, you could scale it or leverage Framer if you knew a little bit of code, but today there are so many plugins that it's not really necessary anymore, so you can do a lot of cool stuff. For the small freelancer starting out for your own website, literally you have a really cool website for €5 each month, and if you want to go a little bit crazy, it's €20. It's absolutely crazy, that's so cheap. Then we can talk about models. We have the cloud, we have the ChatGPTs, we have the Copilots, you name it. What can I say about? You probably already used some of these, and then it gets really interesting when you start to use it for the right tools, for the right intent. We all started with ChatGPT probably. Like, for instance, how I still use ChatGPT today. It's for the silly things. I crashed my bike 2 weeks ago in Spain. Well, I asked them, okay, I crashed, I have 5 minutes, I don't know Spanish, please translate, but give me a bucket list of what I need at the apothecary thingy. How do I clean my wounds, whatever. It's not Google anymore, and I think a lot of people here in the room who are still using Google. If you have a question, or who use ChatGPT or any other tool if you have an issue and you're like, fuck, how do I cook a spaghetti bolognese? Do you go to Google or do you use ChatGPT, for instance? I think there's the shift is happening. I see it with my girlfriend that's doing it, and for me that's a big alert. Like, okay, we're at that stage. She's it's going mainstream. But there are cool models, and I think most people here understand this. But then we come into more the nerdy vibe coding side of AI, and then we talk about Cursor, probably the most common or most known popular tool. And this is an integrated development environment. Who knows about Cursor? Just to get like a feel, okay, like 50-50, so it's not completely new. But for those that don't know what it is, there's a nice screenshot. Are there any developers here as well? Like 2, 3 people? Okay, cool. Sorry to bore you. But this is their job. They work in fucking code, all lines of code. That's that's all they see probably, and they think and they dream about this. We see pixels, colors, cool stuff. But now you have a cursor. You have like a nice integrated plugin, a chat box, where I, without any experience in code, can just describe like what exactly my page or a function needs to do. Of course, after a while, you learn more what it should be doing. You learn about what this code means, but you can just type, describe what you need, and it will show you the code. You implement it. Cool. That was the first, like, whoa, really cool stuff. For me, basically, I designed something in Figma. I dropped it in the correct the cloud of ChatGPT, whatever. I asked them to make a function analysis, whatever, do all the documents. You get a nice structured file that you can attach for context and then describe, okay, let's build an app now, let's do it in React, what database, how do we structure the database, which one should I set up, whatever. You ask everything in the chat box and it will help you, and it's like a cool game, or this is how I approach this whole thing. So like a little game, and it's a quest with steps and step-by-step stuff, and you do it. And this was for me an eye-opener, no coding experience, and I knew exactly what to do. And you could easily see or apply the new code, all cool. But what's really interesting today, you can use Cursor today and have, now we get really nerdy, but the MPC stuff. Voila, the MCP explained. These are protocols. What you see in the image, we had our cloud or ChatGPT, our models that we love to talk with. And then the frustration was, yeah, how can I get them to my Figma? How can I activate it in my tools? Well, today, every day there are new, let's say, bridges, new MCPs, new protocols written. So now what is possible today, you can actually get connected, or connect your Figma, your desired tools. But what happens today, do you have a screenshot, whatever? It looks exactly like this. You see Figma, you see your cursor, you can describe what you want, but if you have it bridged or linked with your Figma design system, in theory, you can actually ask them, like, okay, I need the sales flow for this pull-up user design system, whatever. You make sure you prompt it well, and you see it in action, and you see your cursor, and it starts designing for you. For me, that's very interesting and mind-blowing, like, okay, cool. And this is just thinking about, okay, how can I link Figma and my cursor, and then the correct model, the cloud, Sonebo, for instance, or whatever works best. But then I'm already thinking, okay, can I link this with data from customers? Can I link this with interesting database to go super hyper UX vibe with my flow? How can I make sales flow exactly match different persona that I mapped in the database? And then we're talking very nerdy and interesting flows, because in 5 minutes, it's in theory possible that I have like 20, 30 sales flows that I can easily prototype, that I can share, that I can push to developers. And why would I even push it in developers? If I'm a cursor, I can ask them to make the code and just make it for me. And then we're in the next level where I'm getting really excited about, like, oh shit, I can be in control. And okay, maybe other people can be in control. Why do we need so many big teams? We can get a lot leaner. And then it opens, of course, the discussion, what are we going to do with this new tool? What's the role of the designer? What's the role of the developer? things will change if I look at this, but this excites me very much. And I think that's mind-blowing. I'm not sure, is this mind-blowing for other people as well? Just the idea that an AI can really feed your Figma file, understands the context, and that you can just plug in all the data from your user and, okay. Anyway, that's, I think that's super cool. It comes really close, but this is design-wise, but there's also Manus as 2 weeks ago, but just an example. I think it's still in private. But the idea that you will be able to talk with different agents and that you're just a one-guy agency with like 10 agents, AI agents that can do the sales for you, that you can do the DevOps for you. Just imagine the impact, how many 1 or 2 guy agencies we will be battling with our clients. I think that's going to be mad, and it's already happening. And that we're just not aware yet, because I wouldn't scream on top of the lungs if I was a one-man guy doing a lot of shit. Well, I'm doing this talk anyway, but I'm not doing it, but I'm sure, and I know some guys that are doing it, and it's mind-blowing. I find it super cool. Then there is also, and then I'm speaking, there are tools, 5 new tools every week. It's on all levels in our product design environment. We can talk about customer interactions, customer service. There are specific AI tool agents just tailored to like, okay, how can we instruct the perfect AI agents that can completely manage everything customer service, all these sales issues. If you're like online shop, what if I can just send an AI agent that can cover all these things? It already exists, and that's super cool on that level. But also, if you're more into DevOps and sales, there are automated platforms that really focus in where you can see super easy, like you can drag and drop, like, okay, I want to automate a specific workflow. I don't longer want to open my email, read it, put actions on it, whatever. I want to make a flow where AI can read my emails, can see if this is a sales email or not, that can make automatically interpretations of it, suggest maybe immediately concepts or ideas of solutions, whatever, and why not, let's automatically reply as well. You can come up with these crazy automated flows just by drag and dropping and just make sure like, here is my OpenAI key, plug it here, I need this key there, poof, and it works. I think for me personally, that's super cool. Definitely for the sales guys here, you can automate a lot today. And I think today, the people using this, winning so much time, setting up the cool auto flow, the workflows, I think is super cool. And it's possible, and it's free. It's all about experimenting with it. Of course, we will start to panic. Let's see if I missed some cool stuff. Just if you want to start somewhere and if you want to play with a platform just to see how it works, there are like 4 or 5 interesting platforms. Versal, Lovable, Replit, Bolt. If you are still very loyal or close to your Figma, maybe Bolt is a very interesting one because you can import your context, your Figma file here, and then prompt what you want to do with your Figma file, or what it needs to be doing. Is it basically like I designed something here in my Figma, I want to make it or turn it into a prototype. You prompt it and ask it, but maybe you want to simulate a user test, or you want to simulate your accessibility test, whatever. These are already fantastic things to do with it. You should play with this and see yourself, like, how does this work? And what's interesting, and most of these platforms, they have the models integrated, so you don't need a subscription to cloud, or you don't need a subscription to whatever model you desire. Most of the time they have already integrated, and it's interesting, just play with it, see what it does for yourself, what you want to do with it. But Bolt is a good one to play with. Replit as well, but Lovable is moving really fast as well. Same vibe, always the classic prompt chatbot thingy, but you can literally share, screenshot. Just try it yourself and go wild and really ask, like, very detailed. I want a dashboard. This dashboard should work. Go very nerdy into detail, and you will notice, like, oh, okay, it really lists or it understands what I need. And with Lovable, what it will do, it will build it. You will see the thing live, and then you can like a text edit, what was exciting, oh, I can change text live. You can start changing stuff in the interface as well, like you're working in Figma that we're very familiar with. You can change stuff in Lovable, and again, a tool that is constantly updating every week, so that's a nice one to start and play with as well. Versal, the same. These also have, because everyone is asking for an AI chatbot today, so they have it so well done that if you need an AI chatbot, you want your own AI chatbot for your own little agency or whatever, for a client or for a specific project, you can just prompt it, and before you know, you have your own little interface, your own little ChatGPT customized in your tool. And then if you're a nerd, you start to do it and make your own Figma plugins, because why not? Back in the day, you would always search like the community, are there a plugin? Ah, there's no plugin. I think it already happens with me. It's like, I'm not like, there's no plugin. Okay, make me a plugin, I need this and this and this. What do I need? How do I set this up? You know how to prompt these things and you start building it. And I think, I'm mumbling it because I find it very interesting. But things that I also see at POW, there are some researchers, UX researchers. They want to spend all their time on the research with the customer. They want to do the interviews. They're very academic people, and they lose their shit if they know, like, it's that time after 3 months. It's time to test. I have to build a prototype. Now I need a week to spend time to build the prototype and test it. And also, I sit on so much information. What do I do? Right now, with these UX researchers, what I share with them or what I try to help them is like, okay, you do a lot of research, you're a very clever guy, let's just prompt and make a custom dashboard where you can invite your stakeholders in and just share your stuff, but not in the classic Google Drive. No, just make it custom, make it in the color of the client, just make your digital product itself like a little dashboard. It's all possible. The client is like, what the fuck did you just build? Is it like custom dashboard? Yes, it is, but it's easier than you think. And it adds to the experience of how expert level you are. It doesn't take that much time. But you can have also the dashboard you create with all the insights. There will also be your live prototype, your tools. And it's all just by clever prompting. It's not 5 days of designing a Figma. It's a clever prompt. You set things up and you move pretty fast with it. And that's just very interesting to see where this UX research, how can we make it even more valuable when the research reach the right people or with the decision makers to make things happen. Prototyping, Polymet, the same. So these are the type of players. The Rapids are one of those early movers, and now we've got Bolt, Polymet. You constantly see different platforms with niche solutions. And these are all dashboard specific use cases like low fee prototypes, whatever, but they're all basically the same. They have a design system and you can build cool stuff just by prompting. Let's see, I'm very chaotic, yeah? Maybe you're panicking, and I played with the word panic and I added the AI, so it's panic. Anyway, it's okay, you can breathe in, it's perfectly fine. Wait. I think what's important, there's like an opinion slide. Things are changing rapidly, and I think it's really important in where you work that you create or that you're aware that we need also a shift in culture. I feel, that's my personal experience, that a lot of people are keeping a lot of information for themselves. A lot of designers are playing with these tools, but they keep it for themselves because sometimes it's like a head start or it's an edge they have on their competitors or whatever. If you really want to embrace this new change, or if you want to excel at these things, I think we need a culture shift as well. And maybe here in Flanders, it's not our strongest suit, but have this open conversation like, hey, what are you doing and how are you solving this? And getting our heads together and really push that curiosity and have those shout, what's happening in the landscape? Because I see a lot of people like turning away or being very like private about these things, and I hope definitely in the design communities that we have a very open, or at least this is my side as well, just sharing your experience and hopefully help each other. Like, okay, cool, this is heading at us. Like, how do we adapt? How do we get ready for this? what's the possible impact? Let's see if it's interesting. I think the biggest change, or I'm not sure what the time is, by the way, because I can. Can I continue? Because I can continue. At a very high level, 2015, very linear design area. What does that mean? I was a designer, I was waiting for my briefing, and back in the day it was literally waiting my email like, oh, there's my briefing, what do I need to do? Okay, I can make 2 screens, whatever, follow the guidelines. And then when I was ready, I could go to the UX designer or whatever, the developer. It was very linear. Hands off after hands off. Then we moved into a system design driven era where there are more the reusable components. We see the first no-code adoption. COVID happened, so we started to work remotely. We started to collaborate on a different level. For me in Figma, poof, we saw cursors and people were in the same file and oh my god. So that had a huge impact. Now we are 2025. We already see AI integration, and for now, most of it is like research level, where you do your deep research or you do some analysis, and it's very text-based. But we already noticed there's a slowly move to hybrid workflows, and then we are heading straight in the intelligence, personalized future with data enabled, with all the stuff we don't understand today, but that we will be able to use and understand with AI tools. And also a huge shift with the teams and with who we work. It's going to have a huge impact as well. But the key there is more collaboration, I think. AI is not going to push us away. It's going to bring us even closer and really make sure that the human aspect of design, and we're all into product solving. We're not just robots today and solving stuff. It's in the nuances, and it's collaboration heavy. So that's some evolution I see, a lot of text, blah, blah, blah. Opinion, very important. I don't think we're not replaceable by AI. It will only make us stronger because we can now even better explore ideas. We can understand more stuff. Back in the day, I'm not the cleverest or the smartest guy, but now I have my tools and I can simply ask, okay, my boss shared a fancy document, I don't understand, now please rewrite it so I understand it with my leesniveau 2. And these things are helping me understand new things. So cool, so don't be afraid of losing your job or losing stuff, it's just gonna change. What does it mean for my team? Already changed it. I already mentioned it, sorry. It's going to be, you already see it, I think. 5 years ago, we were in UX UI team. Today, you sit in the payment team or you sit in the whatever sales team. It's going to be product focused rather than departments. We're going to foster shared ownership, which is really cool. Not sure if everyone is ready for shared ownership, but it will happen, I think. Where you have your responsibility, you are in your team as a designer, you're working with other clever people, like you have to own your shit. You can't hide behind the design lead maybe. That's gonna change, I think. We will be focused more on outcome. So we will be really focused on, okay, what's the impact here? We need to make impact, and that makes that we will be, or we have to be more aligned than ever. And we can also, with the clever AI, we will understand and we will be able to use the data, and we will be able to leverage the UX metrics and understand all of that. And you already see that the conversations, or I see it already, where 5 years ago, nobody asked me as a designer, what's the return of investment of your job? Nobody ever asked me that as a designer. It's like, okay, Abraham, you've worked on the mobile banking app. Now, what's the impact? How much you've cost us so much money? How did you make money? That was never the discussion. Well, now almost every conversation I have with the hiring guy on the design level is asking, okay, we're gonna put 2 designers on a project for 3 months. It cost us 100K. How are we gonna make the 100K back? Like, what's the plan here? What's the strategy? What's the return of investment here? And that's a cool shift that's coming to us with the tight markets, and I think this will help as well. AI team, I'm not sure it is interesting, it's late already. Best practices, AI playbooks, human oversight, blah, blah, blah. I think I'm tired as well, so I'm not sure if I want to go. And then, of course, what would I do if I ran an agency? Gonna skip that because that's way too interesting. I need to be a fresh mind. But if I want to share something, boop, 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 boop. Nope. Nope. Is it this one? No? Whatever. What I really, I think a shift is going to happen in the way we work with clients. It's all project-based, and we have like a tight budget, specific stuff. We definitely need a shift, and it's going to happen towards partnerships and subscription-based stuff with small agencies or consultants like me, where you will want to work not for 3 months or for 6 months with Bram. No, I want a subscription. I want to have access to you for a longer period of time. It's going to change. The relationship's going to change. And I think as a freelancer, you have to be aware, like, okay, wait, the offering is changing. What am I going to change? How am I doing this? Or whatever. My brains are like, I hope it was a little bit of interesting thingy, what's happening, or that you get a glimpse of what's happening in the design landscape with AI. Embrace it. It's never going to change. It starts with the why, how Simon Sinek says. I think that's the most important. That's never going to change. As a designer, it's still like, why are we doing this? And it doesn't matter what tool you will use. Voila, maybe a nice plug before we end. Whatever, are you vibe coding? I'm not your AI expert, but I love to help you. Just reach out. I love to talk about it. My name is Bram, voila. And I will love to help you with AI integrations, whatever. Gracias. Voilà. Questions?
Thanks for sticking with us a little bit longer. So I propose that you have any questions, meet Bram at the bar. But I want to thank you for coming. I hope you still have some discussion and some beers afterwards. And we hope to see you the next time at Ariel. So thank you so much. Goed gedaan. Ja, ik ben nu ook zo met Lovable en zo aan het spelen, dus dat is echt wel cool.
Bye.